Hey guys, it's Kinsey.
And Cody.
Welcome back to How We Do It, episode We Don't Know Anymore. That's how we always start our episodes. We can't keep track. We're joined by...
James Wolf.
Yay!
Grab a seat, coffee life, and chaos meet. With Milo and Scout, we're by your side. Here for the ride in 2025.
This is our second guest on our podcast we're super excited about, and he is a world-renowned photographer. He is a cinematic legend, and we're so honored to have you here, James.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm so nervous right now. It feels like I'm a guest on like Sesame Street when I'm like, hey.
I can't. Yeah, I met James at a style shoot, a content day, really, here in Nashville, and he was amazing. I think the first thing that stood out to me about James is you were so kind and just so open. I think it's really, really rare to find people who are willing to be helpful and just honestly nice. That's so sad to say, but it's true. And I think that's the first thing I look for in people that I want to surround myself with, are just genuinely kind people who root each other on. And I think looking at somebody like you who's had so much success, you could easily be like, I don't need to help anybody. You know what I mean? But he's so open. And so I'm just so happy we met.
Today is the first day that I got the chance to meet James, and I feel like I've known him forever just by what Kenzie has told me. And then when I met him, it was just a warm welcome, and it's just great to finally meet you in person.
You as well.
And this is going to be awesome. I'm excited.
And we're doing photos together later this month, and I'm very excited.
I'm so excited. Our 1-year anniversary in September. And when we were looking for a photographer to shoot our photos, Cody went, I wish James could do it. This was before our style shoot. Yeah, that we had planned. So we're excited.
And now it's happening. I'm very excited.
Happening. Look at us. We met. We're doing a podcast episode. And now style shoot.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm so excited. So many things are happening so fast as well. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I would love for you to kind of tell the viewers, tell the people a little bit about you, where you come from, your background in photography, all the things.
Amazing. Hold on. About me, background, photography.
Whatever comes to mind. Yeah.
Okay. A little bit about me. Oh my word. There's so much lore to me. I always tell people that all the time. There's so much lore. So my name is James. I'm 26 years old now, so no longer on my parents' insurance. That's been really fun. This is my first year as a full-time photographer, actually. But I've been dabbling in photography on and off since high school, so maybe 8 years. But very seriously, in my head, I only think I've been doing photography, actually for 3 years, and then really took it seriously about 1.5 years ago now. So, I have done concert photography. I started out in seniors and stuff like that for friends. I feel like that's kind of the story for most wedding photographers, is doing photos for friends and family, and then moving on to maybe weddings for a friend and things like that. So same story there, not super original, sorry. But then moving on to doing, I quit when I moved here from Minnesota. That's where I'm originally from. So I'm from the Midwest, grew up there my entire life. I have 5 older siblings.
Wow.
We were all homeschooled all the way through high school. So I never set foot in a public school for education until I was in college. So otherwise it was all at home. And I was the homeschooler to the homeschoolers. So I was it was me, our PC, and my education books and stuff. It was my curriculum. It wasn't no co-ops. That's really popular now, but I wasn't in any of those. So moved here 4 years ago, and then quit photography for about 1.5 years maybe, and then got back into it after tour because I got thrown in as a merch person. Knew nothing about it, was not qualified at all. I don't know why they chose me. Oh, I do. They said you're the personality hire. So, and then they taught me how to do the rest. And then I started doing concert photos for the artists. And then after tour, I quit and then went into weddings and stuff again. And started just editing and shooting how I wanted to. And then people hired me and I was like, that's crazy. Because I always thought that you had to shoot a very specific way for weddings to get hired, for people to actually want that. And so when I figured out that was not the case and I could be really creative, that kind of launched me into wanting to do weddings and being like, oh, I can do this. Like, I will do this. So, yeah.
I love that. I think what's so interesting, what you just said, is that when you started editing and shooting the way that you wanted to, things kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
So was there a period where you were just trying to mimic kind of like what you saw or what you thought?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's part of most like creatives in general. Like their journey is like, I mean, you always hear that, what is it? Like, imitation is like a form of like flattery essentially, which I think is definitely true to an extent. But I know that for me, I had a really, really rough journey with comparison and like clickiness in the creative community. And so that was also a big reason why I quit, just because I didn't really have any friends. I didn't feel very championed on in the industry or in the community in general, partially because I sucked for a very long time. Like I was not very good. So I would be like really sad when I wasn't getting picked up to do second shooter gigs and stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
But also now understanding people have their people for a reason and things. But yeah, going into like my own style and finding it, that process was started with like kind of seeing how all the Midwestern photographers shot around me and all my peers and other people that were either like acquaintances that were wedding photographers. I would see how they shot, how they edited, and then I would kind of do the same poses and stuff. So very cookie cutter, very grandma fridge photo, which there's nothing wrong with that. And then when I started seeing kind of more of like the artistic or cinematic photography happening, I would try and mimic that. Concert photographers, which a lot of concert photographers that I love edit almost cinematically still. I don't know how to explain it. And there's a lot of filters and stuff in concert photography and stuff. So I would try and mimic that. And then once I took a big step back to be like, why am I mimicking? Why am I striving to replicate? That's not going to be original. Like, why would they hire me if they could just hire the person I'm trying to replicate? Like at that point, I had to take a step back and be like, what do I want to do? I can take inspiration, but I shouldn't take imitation. And so that was a big thing for me. And then realizing that I'm never going to 100% recreate someone else's art or photo shoot or wedding that they've done. But it's okay to draw inspiration from it, but never to tear myself down if I'm not doing it exactly how I've seen one of my peers or someone I look up to, how they've done it, just because that's not helpful. You know, comparison's a killer. And it's just not realistic to recreate something that someone else has done 100% unless you do everything the exact same.
That's
same
so
models,
good.
same location, same dress, like things like that.
Absolutely. So. I think that's so funny because you remember when I came home from the content day James was at, I came home and everyone asked how it went and I said, I suck. And I didn't mean, no, listen, I didn't mean it in like a tear myself down kind of way, but I was just so inspired by the room that I was in, like all of the fellow creatives. And I remember going, oh my gosh, I learned so much from James. And I think it's so important what you said is to draw inspiration from people, but not imitate it completely, because you need to be inspired to create, right? But I think it's so unique. Like you have a certain vision and you see setups differently than I would. So like when I went home and said, I suck, it's not because I really thought I suck, but there's just so much for me to learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think for any photographer out there, like if you've been doing it yesterday or for a decade, like you should always be learning and always be in rooms with creatives learning, because there's so much to learn from each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think a big, like to go off of that point, a big like thing that I've learned and had to like kind of become aware of and then accept and learn from is that like it's okay to, like you said, like we said, like drawing inspiration from people, but it's also okay not to like be what am I trying to say here? Hold on. Homeschooled brain, sorry. Sometimes I just blank.
Okay, I was homeschooled too. I was homeschooled.
Wait, really?
No, yeah. Okay, but I wanted to so bad. I was like so lame in high school. He was so popular. Cody was popular, had people doing his homework for him. Like, yeah, teachers loved him.
Amazing.
I, on the other hand, it was miserable for me. And so like my junior, senior year, I was homeschooled. Yeah.
Oh my God. I skipped geography and lied to my mom about it and told her that I did it. And then it bit me in the ass because then when I was 18, I thought Mexico was to the north. And then my friend was like, where did you think Canada was? And I was like, more north? And they're like, I was 100% unironically serious. Like I was serious. And they were like, so you're kind of dumb.
That made me love you so much more. That's amazing.
And they showed me a map and I said, oh. I was like, that's how they're like, are you a flat earther? I'm like, no. So, wait, going back to what you were saying before, like what I meant to say was, I think a big thing has been when you do draw inspiration from people, I think always being humble enough to learn and like being willing to learn and never come to a point where you feel like you've learned it all or you're the it shit in the industry. Like, I think that's a really big, important thing to keep in mind is like to always remain humble and not like a fake humble of like, I don't know. I feel like we all kind of know what like fake humble looks like, but like true humility of like being actually grateful for where you're at and for the things that people are complimenting you on, but also willing to learn more and be better at what they're already complimenting you on maybe. Because for me, I think I take a lot of inspiration from people's photos now and I study them instead of replicate them. So I'll be like, why do I like this photo? What's drawing me? Is it the colors? Is it the outfits? Is it the location? Is it the shapes in the photos, the leading lines? Like I've really started to try and study other photographers' photos that I really look up to rather than just try and recreate. Because I feel like I see a lot of styled shoots and a lot of photographers now trying to recreate really viral concepts or photo shoots. All the pieces are there, but the actual execution sometimes isn't always there in the sense of like they could have the same dress, the same models, the same location, but they may be lacking in the sense of like, again, like understanding where the leading lines are in the frame and things like that. One of my friends, Rita, she just did a class for summer school, Summer Grace's like photography program, and she was talking about cropping and composition and also talked about the same thing. She studies people's photography and finds out why she likes it. So rather than just scrolling, and she's like, what she said is scrolling Instagram or scrolling through Pinterest like is not studying. That is not synonymous with studying. Like she actually sits down, goes through their portfolio, and will like when something jumps out at her, she'll look at it and she'll study it. She'll see where the light's coming from. Is there artificial light? Is there not artificial light? Like maybe is it film? Is it digital? Like everything. She'll ask all these questions and she has a notebook. And her work is some of the top in the industry. I love her work. And she's not even in weddings. It's just she does brand and fashion stuff. Wow. But I love her work. So I think taking from her as well, it's like just studying people's work also helps you become better, but also helps you not compare instead, because you're not comparing yourself to the kind of client they got or how attractive the client is or how amazing the venue is. You're actually just studying the technical parts of the photo. And then it makes you better because then you're in the back of your mind during your next shoot, you're thinking of the same thing.
Wow. It's sitting here and we've talked about this before, but because I'm a musician, so comparing like photography side to the musician, just the creativity behind it, because there's like all the musicians, you tone chase or you go after whoever your not your idol is, but the guys you look up to, and it sounds like photography is kind of the same thing, except we try to imitate some of the same sounds or whatever, but I've noticed I get more creative whenever I sit down and like dial in my own tones or whatever. And even though it's kind of similar to what the guys I follow are doing, when I get to my own spot is when it kind of really shines out. So it's kind of cool how those two kind of go back and forth.
Like when you're in the room with like let's say writers and musicians, like what's your proper title? Like what would people, you're not a tech, because the tech is the person who...
It depends, EG1, which is like electric guitar one, is usually doing like lead lines, or EG2 might just be doing some rhythm stuff or fill. So it just kind of depends on which part in the band or the room setting that you're trying to fill.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
I've learned like little bits and pieces over my time here in Nashville of like either a lot of my roommates are musicians.
Oh, cool.
And then being on tour and stuff. So I've learned more like my understanding of a guitar tech would be the person who's like on tour, he goes and runs out the guitars and why am I saying guitar so weird? I'm like guitar, guitar and like cut.
The Southern comes out.
Yes, oh my word. But like they're the person that like switches out and like is kind of like the assistant and stuff. So
it takes care of all the strings, make sure everything's up and running.
But you're actually like lead playing, like kind of like up there and playing.
On the stage and doing the fun stuff, I guess.
And then you have all the pedals and things, so you can like loop and make all the sound effects and things like that.
Different tones, your reverbs, your delays, your overdrives, whatever it calls for. All the fun.
See, I do a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, that's awesome.
I was like the thing that makes your guitar sound cool, and he's like pedals. I'm married to a guitarist. You think I'd know? He like tries to explain stuff to me, and I'm just like,
that can happen to me too.
Different language. Yeah. Anyways, where were we? What were we talking about?
Go ahead.
No, he was talking about how the inspiration from other photographers kind of triggered that, and then when he started channeling his own creativity is kind of when it took off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's tie this back in. How do we go back?
Oh yeah, and it kind of led from when you said that when I found my style. And like that's where things kind of took off. So you kind of asked my journey of like how.
Perfect.
How I'm surprised I remember that. I have the memory of a goldfish. No, like I am not lying.
No, I do.
It's so bad.
He will hand me keys, and I'll be like, "Babe, did you grab the keys?"
They're in your hand.
Whoops.
Yeah, I'll do that. I have my moments like that too. I'm really bad with names. I'm really bad with like remembering like sometimes important things. So I have to write everything down. Like I have lists in my phones. I have to put everything in my calendar, like this podcast recording in my calendar.
Yes.
If I have to drop something off at the mail, like the post office, in my calendar, it's like a little 10-minute event.
Yes.
Like I have to because I'm so forgetful. And fun fact, I was adopted. It was a closed adoption, so I have no info on like my birth, like biological parents.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have no idea if I'm gonna have like dementia or something. Like, is this just early signs? Sorry, that's really dark, but I'm like, my memory is so bad sometimes. Like, I'll be at a photo. I hope none of my clients are listening to this. I'll be at a photo shoot or at a wedding, and I'll know their name. Like, I know their names.
Wait, I was gonna ask this. Okay,
but I'll pull up their contract. And I'll look and make sure I read both both of the clients' names. And then I'll pull up the project to make sure that the names in the project match the names in the contract. And then I'll say them over and over to myself. But then when I get down to it and the clients show up, I'll be like, oh my God, hey you. It's so nice. Oh my gosh, hey. Because I gaslight myself into thinking that I don't know their names. Even though I've just read it to myself. I do the
same thing. I feel like that's just a experience that every photographer has though. I feel like I go with you all the time. I did that last night at the session.
Really?
Yes. I knew their names. I knew his name, but I was like, he hesitated when I said his name the first time, so I was scared to say it again.
Yeah.
But it was right.
I recently did a shoot and I knew her name. I knew her name, but I would kind of mumble it. I'd be like, okay, and you. And it was so bad. And then his name, I completely blanked. And I didn't remember till the very end. So the entire shoot, and I think they kind of caught on, but they were so sweet, is I kept saying, okay, and he, him, you. Like I would very indirectly, I was just like addressing him. His name was Taylor. He's very sweet. So.
Well, God bless you, Taylor.
Yes. Very embarrassed.
Anyways, so we were talking about kind of just how when you start to get into your own flow, you get inspired by the room, and then you create from an authentic place of what you really want to create. And so I think about the style shoot that we're putting on, which is in Hot Springs, Arkansas. August 5th at the Reserve. It's going to be stunning. We have a wedding planner. We have a ton of vendors that I'm super excited about.
Lots of co-hosts.
Yes.
You're hosting as the main host.
Yes.
We have
Bella
amazing models too. I'm so excited.
Yes.
And then the wedding dress company that's also
Unveiled.
Yes. I'm so excited.
So,
the dresses
so good.
look so
Real
good.
diamonds are going to be there.
Huh?
Deep South diamonds. Yeah. Real. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Real bling. Yes. No fake.
I'm so
yes,
excited.
I am too. Deep South diamonds. She actually made my engagement ring. Actually, both. Wedding band too. But
that's amazing.
yeah. So I'm really, really excited.
Oh, this is such like a what's the word?
Full circle.
Yes.
I know. And I got my dress from Unveiled.
I almost said roundhouse, and I'm like, nope, that's a kick.
And we had our reception on the reserve property.
Mm-hmm.
So this like shoot, and I mean, they're the photographers. I'm just going to be there as a runner or whatever. But I'm like super excited just because of the memories and the what's the word I'm looking for? What it means to us to be back on the property.
Like thinking about our style shoot that we're doing in the workshop. What would you say to somebody that's interested in coming, why they should attend?
Ooh, that is such a good question. There's so many good reasons to attend the workshop, any workshop, but specifically this workshop. I think I was always super on the fence about styled shoots, retreats, workshops. This is my first year again full time, but this is also my first year that I've ever attended like content days and workshops. So I went from 0 to, including the one that we're putting on, I think by the end of the year I will have attended 6
Wow.
or 7,
That's awesome.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've lost count, which is awful. I'm about to leave next week for one in Salt Lake City. I'm very excited. So I was always on the fence about them. I always thought it was kind of like a weird idea to pay money to go like take photos of a shoot until I finally attended one, and it kind of really, really broke down all my predispositions that I had about them and almost prejudice. I think styled shoots are really, really amazing for quite a few reasons, but specifically ours, I'll name why. I think networking is amazing. That's mainly, I'm going to be so honest, why I go to styled shoots and retreats and content days is I just like to make friends. I like to make community. I also really enjoy learning from other people. I am always open to learning how other people approach the same shoot. That's been really, really fun for me to see the same shoot, but seeing different people's approaches as far as like composition, angles, gear that they're using, zoom lenses, prime lenses, like things like that. And then even being able to pick other people's brain if they have completely different branded gear, like Leica, Fuji, Sony, Nikon, like any of it. So I've just learned more about my own shooting style, my own gear compared to other people's gear. That's been really, really amazing. But making friends has been my favorite part about it, because I went from having and struggling making community in my entire photography journey to now this year having like the most embracing and encouraging community. And I am constantly blown away by it. By people just either reaching out, or like when you text me and you say that you ran into people who are saying such sweet things about my work, and I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, it's so weird for me to think about that. Like, I just feel like I still feel like a small boy from a small town in Minnesota still. So, networking and community has been huge, and coming out with like an open mind, but also learning technique is amazing at style shoots. As long as you're open and willing to ask questions. I think it's always good to ask questions at style shoots. Sometimes I feel like people can be really timid, but honestly, as long as you are asking questions to the right people, some people aren't open to it and that's okay, because there's a lot of different personalities in the room when you have a style shoot. And so I think it's always really, really, really important to remember that offense is something that's taken. It's never given. Wow. So like when you go into a style shoot, remember that if you feel offended, take a step back, think why, because there's so many different personalities in the room. Yeah. So it's like you want to avoid any of that candy drama and things like that. And then I think also for our shoot, I mean, we're doing it at the Reserve. It's like a renowned venue. So like to come to ours, it's like if you haven't shot at this venue yet and you really want to book a wedding here, shooting something at that location is going to actually increase your chances of booking something there already. Yeah. I just did a retreat with my friend, Erin, who I met at this retreat at Windrift Hall in New York, like upstate New York, Albany. And she had no weddings at Windrift Hall, or maybe she had one like booked. I can't remember. She had one, but she now has 2. After the retreat, she now has 2. And one of them specifically reached out because they were like, we just saw you shot there. we want you to shoot our wedding there.
So good.
So that's a big reason. And then if there's just concepts or things that you want to try or be experimental that you feel like you can't or don't have the liberty to for paid weddings or gigs, this is the chance to do it because there's no repercussions. There's only experimental, and like you can just experiment as much as you want with different shooting styles, flash, composition, flat lays, where you want to put the shoes, like, and then you have more time than the stress of a wedding day or an actual shoot. So sorry, I rambled for so long.
No, this is great. This is everything we need to hear. And I think it's so true because when I did the content day, and I had a post from that content day go mini viral because Authentic Love collaborated.
Amazing.
I received so many inquiries from Italy weddings, New York, like all these really, really cool places because I was finally finding, I feel like, my groove. Like because I had the room to experiment, because you can't experiment on a normal couple session because they're booking you, right, for your previous style. But if you're thinking about experimenting or pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, which is what I did, things like that can come. You know what I'm saying? And so I think everything that James said is so true. When you show up and you ask questions, like you showed me exactly, like you were explaining the frame and like you're like, okay, if you want to tell a story, you got to think about where the story is leading. And I went, oh my God, I've never thought about that when shooting, right? I'm just thinking, okay, wait, they're here and I'm there. But you explained it in such a way that was so helpful. And it really just changed the way that I shoot now. And I wouldn't have that knowledge if I didn't show up to the content day. And I almost didn't go.
That's crazy.
I
really?
almost didn't go. There was one ticket left. Yeah. I had to stay longer because my parents had a terrible time moving into their new place here. And so I saw that there was one ticket left and I was like, well, maybe I should just go. And it changed my life. That sounds dramatic, but it did. Like, it was amazing.
That's crazy. And I really wanted to go, but I also almost didn't go just because I had a photo shoot that night. I was feeling very burnt out.
Yeah.
I was like, the last thing I need is more content to edit, which I'm going to be honest, I've edited maybe 5% of the photos that I've taken at all my retreats this year. Like I love the content and I'm excited to edit and post it, but I again really go just to curate community more than anything else.
Yeah.
So, but I think it just also shows like some of the best of friends that I've made and like new flourishing friendships that I've made are from going to these retreats. I've met so many amazing people from it, and that's what pays off for me because then I learn from them going on in our friendship. Like I've learned things from our conversations, from my conversations with my friend Aaron, my other friends like Gage and Tucker and like other people out there.
It's so cool.
Like I can just text them questions now and we just kind of bounce off of each other and it's just a give and take. And I think that's a big thing, like in a world where photography education is a really big thing. And I think it is really, really needed. But we're also kind of in a weird place where education, retreats, style, I think that it's really saturated right now.
Yes.
And then you hear all these like scary stories of like people who are putting them on, but maybe don't know how to yet. I think like that styled shoots and like education's really important, but also understanding that like anything that I know are things that I've learned from either YouTube videos, other photographers, and experience. But most knowledge in the photography industry is just kind of bebopped around, and like it just kind of like you either find it eventually on your journey, or you don't, or you're told it, or things like that. So I think like I was talking to my friend Tucker House, and he is one of the first people to tell me this, but I hear this a lot from some of the humblest of educators that I know, who are just like, the information that they have about photography is not theirs to keep. Like it's because it's not something that they got on their own necessarily. Like it's something that was taught, so it should always be passed on. Like what's your reason to gatekeep? If you're gatekeeping the information, really take a step back and check yourself and ask why. I think there is really good reasons sometimes to gatekeep, like certain locations. I understand that. I am pro gatekeep locations sometimes because there's so many locations that I used to love shooting at that then got trampled or saturated, or now were damaged, and now like you can't shoot there at all, or there's really big fines. Like there's things like that. So I understand that point. But when it's like just technique or other things, I think gatekeeping, there really is no reason. Now, when you're charging for it as an educator, that's different just because you are a business. You have, your time is your money. So like you should be paid what you're worth. If people want to learn from you, then they'll pay for it. But otherwise, that's just kind of like, I think educators in the industry is like, you're being spoon fed that information where you can probably find it out for free on the internet or from other people. Yes. But like, that's the amazing things with content days and education programs is like, it's kind of just, it's fast tracked essentially. Yeah, which is what's really amazing. And those people are typically really equipped to actually educate. And that's another thing to keep in mind.
That's so good. I love that. And I think what you said, going back to like community and making friends, this job can feel very isolating and very competitive. But every content day or styled shoot I attended, you connect with the best people. And I think genuinely, if you feel like I don't have a friend in this industry, you need to show up to styled shoots and you need to show up to content days, because that's how you connect. That's how you find your people. And so I'm just really excited and I'm looking forward to this. And I think if you're thinking about coming to this styled shoot and this workshop, come.
Please come.
Please come. It's going to be so fun. And for me, it's more than just taking pretty photos. I think everything James said is so true. But I think it's really important to find your why as a photographer. And there's not space to do that in normal sessions because you're creating for other people and what they love about your portfolio. But finding your why and finding out things that excite you and, like James said, gives you room to experiment and the freedom to do so is so important. And so that's our hope with this, I think, is that you walk away with more knowledge, community, and the freedom to experiment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited to educate just because it's a part of the industry that I've really wanted to get into, but I've also been really cautious because why did my throat make that noise when I said cautious? Oh my word.
I didn't hear it.
They're going to hear it. But I wanted to be really cautious before stepping into this kind of part of the industry. So why I took so long to even think about saying yes to you when you asked me is just because I don't want to step into it like unprepared, or if I don't feel like I can actually do it to the best of my abilities, or if I'm not in a space where I should be doing it, I don't think I should be. So I think that was a big thing for me with education. And another thing for just content days in general that I've realized is like, we hear the word investment a lot. We use it as photographers a lot on our websites. Sometimes you see pricing, sometimes you see packaging, sometimes you see investment, blah, 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 blah. But truly, I have come to the realization and understanding that when you are going and choosing to buy a ticket to a styled shoot, a retreat, a content day, obviously with doing your research into like the day itself, the concepts, the people who are hosting, but they truly are an investment into your business, just because it is so different from a couple's shoot that you could have just booked on your own, or a wedding, because you do have the freedom again to experiment and to make mistakes, because your best success is going to come from your best mistakes. Like truly. So I think like a lot of really, really established photographers, like who have a big name for themselves, or even in their area have a big name, or are really successful and don't need the content. I also hear that they go to content shoots to test out new gear, and that's their investment. So then they are oftentimes like renting a camera body or renting a light, or they just bought a new film camera or things like, and instead of testing it out on somebody's wedding or a shoot that's paid, they'll actually buy a ticket to a styled shoot. So it's like everything, all the moving parts of an actual day, like a wedding day or a couple shoot or whatever. But they'll test out their gear, or they'll test out different compositions or like techniques again. So that's something else that I've heard that I've also really enjoyed, is being able to test out my gear in different ways that I haven't done before. Because so often on a wedding day during a shoot, I'm sure you can relate to this. Even you with like guitar and music, I feel that when in the things that we do it's really easy to kind of fall into place of doing things the way that we know how.
Ooh, yeah.
That's comfortable,
So true.
that's
Yeah.
familiar,
Yeah.
that we know is going to be successful in the end and kind of produce a good product. So it may not be our best, but it's going to be good. And so I think even with that in mind, when I'm at a content retreat, a big thing that I've noticed lately is a lot of people, I feel like either are scared to experiment and more are there just to get the content. And then they just fall into a place, and myself included, we fall into a place of shooting the way that we've always known how. And we're just shooting the content day the exact way that we've known how,
Wow.
instead of actually using it to broaden our abilities and capabilities and like technique. And I think that's a really, personally, very harsh. I think that's somewhat of a waste of a content day. Yes, if you want the content, get the content, but
Yeah.
also keep in mind that if you're at a content day or even a whole weekend retreat, from each shoot, you only need enough for a post, a 20 slide post that may have max 30, 40 photos if you do a collage or something, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need to shoot for a whole gallery. Unless you're
Yeah.
putting the gallery in your portfolio, then that makes sense. But also, I find that people are always doing like the front and center, shooting from the same focal length the whole time. Like they get stuck, and attendees will kind of repeat what the other attendees are doing. So this is just my encouragement to, when you do come to our content day, I really want this to be a place where people feel safe to experiment, to broaden the ways that they shoot, to try new techniques that if the photo comes out awful or ugly or just not technically correct, that's okay. Because
So
no one's
good.
paying you to deliver those photos to anyone.
That's so good. Oh man, called me out. I'm such an overshooter. I think it's
Me
like
too.
the excitement, you know, in the moment you're like, oh my God, this is stunning. And then you take 200 photos in the same pose. And it's like, that's not necessary.
Yeah.
So, but that's so true what you said. You just need enough for a post. And I can go back to that content day we attended. And I remember you were just like eating in the kitchen and everyone was shooting. And I was like, I looked at Ingrid. I was like, how is he so chill right now? I'm like crying because it's so funny. But
Yeah, I was just
he
stuff
was
in my
so
face.
chill, and I loved it because I went, oh my God, I need his confidence, because I'm going in the back of my head, am I missing something right now? Because everybody's off shooting. And I remember Ingrid was in the kitchen with you talking, and I was like, wait, I want to be here, but like, what if there's a shot upstairs?
Wow.
But it's so true though. If you're constantly just following what everybody else is shooting the entire content day, or at the styled shoot, the workshop, whatever you're attending, you're not creating for yourself. You're really just replicating like somebody else had this idea for a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's my hope too, is that when you attend this, is you guys have ideas and different methods, and it's not all cookie cutter.
Yeah.
You know?
And it can be intimidating when you have groups of like 4 people, 5 people,
Yeah.
or even 12 people all shooting at once. Something that I learned after my first couple of content days and learning like the etiquette and everything there is like, we are all very artistic people when we're in photography, more often than not. And so with that said, it's like, you're not a bad photographer if you and like 4 other of the attendees had the exact same idea for a pose or the composition of the shot. That, in my opinion, makes me more encouraged that my brain is thinking in a similar way as my other creative peers. But when that happens, I find that everyone kind of rushes to that same location or direction to shoot that same shot, and they all get the same one. So then in my mind, when they go to post this, everyone's going to have the same shot, which is not always a bad thing, but you don't want your photo from that styled shoot
To
and
look
your post to
exactly
look
the same.
very, very similar to someone else's, and the only differentiator to be the editing style or something like that. So what I've begun to do is, if I see everyone shooting from the same perspective or from the same concept, I'll take a step back. I'll analyze the shoot in the room and the people that are there, and the pose that we're doing, and find a different direction or a different way to shoot that same. So whether that's like cropping really far in, doing a different direction, using more things in the foreground to help frame, like I'll be like, how can I get the same pose that other people are going to see when they post it. And when I post it, it'll be the same pose and concept and location, but just framed or shot differently. And I think that's what I want to see from attendees who come to our workshop as well, is the just pushing themselves out of their boundaries of comfortability, and shooting differently. I really want to see that like challenge for themselves, or going in with like, I know the other day I did an engagement shoot, but I still set a challenge for myself. And I said, during this shoot, I'm going to not yap as much. I'm going to take a step back and be silent and let them have moments. And I let them know. I said, if I'm really quiet, you're doing nothing wrong. I'm just thinking, my brain's cooking, like just take a breather or just be yourselves.
I love that.
Which then you're able to capture a lot of candid moments, which are some of my favorites. When I say, okay, I got the shot and I'm going to think, then they're usually, mingling together and doing something really sweet, and I'll capture it and they won't know. But with that said, during those moments, I'm taking a step back, and during that shoot, I was like, I really want to be really mindful about the lines and shapes that I'm making using the environment in my couple. So like looking for triangles, S curves, like anything like that. I tried really, really hard to picture those leading line graphs in my head that you have in, like, if you don't know, in Lightroom, if you press, well, on a MacBook at least, if you press R, it goes to crop. And if you press O, the O key, it'll change the like composition leading line grid. And so I will imagine different grids in my head over the shot shot in my camera, just because in the camera you only have the classic rule of thirds grid, I think, and a couple others. But that's been really helpful as well, just because then I take more time to set up my shot and be like, so I don't have to crop as much in post. And if I do, I'm just cropping in instead, or maybe adjusting the angle.
Wow, I love that so much. Well, I'm so excited, and I'm looking forward to this, and I cannot wait for you to share all of this with everybody. If you guys want to attend, again, it's August 5th at the Reserve in Hot Springs, Arkansas, from 4:30 to 7 p.m. You guys can sign up at the link in our bios, and we offer payment plans, all the sorts, so there's no reason to not be there. It's going to be amazing. We have Delaney and Christian as our bride and groom model. We have Apple as our bridal model. Again, wonderful vendors. So we're really, really excited.
I'm so excited. Yay! The concepts are stunning, and I'm just so excited for all the ways that we get to shoot on the Reserve as well. Yeah. I've been researching the Reserve and looking at galleries with it, and so I'm trying to already have it in my head, so when I show up, I'm a little bit more familiar with the space as well. I love it.
We get to shoot in a room. We get to shoot like an actual room. It's a kind of boutique hotel, but very luxury.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So so I think she's putting you in a really beautiful room there, and she said we could shoot in it.
Oh,
and
fabulous.
Then there's a giant room with a piano. There's a beautiful staircase with a bunch of mirrors. There's a giant horse outside statue, not a real one. There's a garden, a greenhouse, so much to do. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Me too.
It's going to be so pretty. Do you want to ask him the rapid fire?
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
Yes, rapid fire questions. Let's cue the game show music. I think they're on.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Ready. Okay.
All right. So, James.
Wait, this is intense.
Camera you can't live without.
Ooh, a camera I can't live without. I know this is supposed to be rapid fire. I'm supposed to answer quick. I mean, I'm just gonna say my R6, honestly, for now. But I do want to change brands eventually. So
okay. Sunrise or golden hour?
Blue hour, actually.
Blue hour. Okay, blue hour. Favorite editing snack?
Ooh. I'm going to be honest, I usually take my Adderall, so I'm not hungry.
ADHD.
So coffee?
We'll take it. We'll take it. Dream shoot location.
Ooh, I want to shoot at the Biltmore Estate in, I think it's North Carolina, very, very, very badly.
Wow, okay.
I think it's so pretty. So.
One artist or creator who inspires you?
Bushwhacked, Rachel Santos. She's amazing.
Yes. Most used app besides Instagram?
Ooh, probably lately, Wait, this is crazy because I downloaded an app. It's called Touch Grass. So to open my Instagram, I have to go and take a photo of grass, and it scans, and we'll use AI. I think it uses AI.
That's awesome.
To see if it's actually grass or just like a plant or something. So other than Instagram, I would say honestly probably my calendar app.
Okay. Calendar app, yeah.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing photography, what would you be doing?
I'd either be in finance. I'd love to be like a financial advisor or fiduciary. Or I also moved here to be a pastor. So I don't think I would be a pastor anymore. But some form of like public speaking. I think I would do something like that.
Yeah. Film or digital?
Digital.
Digital.
For now. I love film, but I'm just beginning to get into it. So if I say film, I feel like a poser.
And for our last one, what's a weird creative habit you have?
Weird creative habit? Oh my God.
I don't even know if I can answer that.
Weird creative habit. I would say this isn't necessarily like, I guess, creative, but I will every once in a while just go on Facebook Marketplace and browse, and I'll look for like props, cameras, things like that I can use for shoots. And like, it kind of gets my creative juices going because I'll see things and I'll be like, that would be great for a creative shoot. I might not buy it, but it's like in my head for the future. So
I think that was great. Yeah, great job. That was fun. Rapid fire.
So good.
Thank you. Oh, amazing.
That's our cue to end this. We've talked too long. They just slowly like went out. Amazing. Anyways, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having
I'm so
me, guys.
excited. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode of How We Do It. This has been so fun. We're excited. We'll see you guys August 5th. Make sure to follow James Wolfe at James Wolfe Photography on Instagram. He's worth it. Book him for everything. We're excited to get our photos done. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Amazing. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.